Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Yes, I started off very silently. It's fine. Anyways, Warsong Gulch. Everyone loved Warsong Gulch. Back in vanilla, we all loved it. Freaking farm for days. Once you hit 2 cap, it was awesome. So, since 7.1.5 has released this week, I have noticed a lot of people complaining about feral druids. And I will say there's some merit to that, especially in terms of the ability to actually dish out a lot of burst damage compared to a lot of classes right now. For instance, Shaman, Ellie Shamans, Warriors, and Demon Hunters. Those are the big ones that I know. I know I fought a Disc Priest earlier today, and I couldn't do Jack against his shield, and it's a Shadow Priest. Like, no matter what I did, his shield just, I get rid of it, it goes right back up, and he's like, and I'm like, I just can't do it. So, right here, as you can see, personally, I don't like carrying the flag anymore. I used to, but feral druids are really squishy. They're really squishy, even with the Guardian Affinity. I've noticed that. You can go Guardian Affinity all you want and still be squishy. Restoration doesn't even help you that much because you just get hit for so much. Granted, this guy is still very fresh to level 110, but still, this actually was one of my better games today. It's just, there was a lot of, like, I can do a lot of damage overall in the Battleground, but in terms of 1v1 action, that's where it gets that's where you actually start seeing issues with the feral druid. The Blizzard did do a lot of damage increases, but I think one of the biggest things that they should not have messed with was Moment of Clarity. For those who don't realize, Moment of Clarity pre-patch allowed us to have free ability use for every ability that we had. That was actually really nice and actually helped us a lot in terms of DPS and raw DPS output. For some reason, they now flipped it. They just took it to Thrash, Swipe, and Shred. Shred is weak as balls. Alright? Shred is weak as balls. I'm not gonna, that is not even a debatable topic. That is just a weak ability. It does no damage whatsoever. But if you go in terms of, let's say, Ferocious Bite, it's still weak as balls. The tooltip may say, oh yeah, you do, with 5 combo points, you do, 250,000 damage. I've done Ferocious Bites in here for like 80k, and it's like, no, that's not. Why is there like over a 50% damage reduction on my ability? That doesn't make any sense. Now they did switch Brutal Slash's cooldown to 12 seconds default. I like Brutal Slash to a certain degree, but it's like one of those abilities where it's going to cost you 60 energy in the beginning of the fight immediately. Because of the simple fact that, oh, it hits for 300k, I'm going to spam that crap, and then all of a sudden they're down to either half HP, or they're down to, they just lost 40% of their HP. I'm going to rule. Awesome. Yeah. But then you run out of energy quickly because you only have a pool of 100 energy. So that's 60 energy with a 12-second cooldown. And ignore this, right? I was talking to my team. I was trying to motivate them. I was the motivator of this team. So it's like 60 energy, great, phenomenal damage output. But then you look at, let's say, a Fury Warrior, less rage cost for a rage pool of 100, and does way more damage for like more reward. There's less hindrance on there. Yes, it's not fair to really compare the two resource pools, but in terms of comparing their bursting ability, it kind of helps because of the fact that it doesn't make sense to why they get a burst that's extreme, and feral druids really don't have burst. There's even with the 15% increase. Now watch, this isn't the Shadow Priest that I was talking about. But if you actually watch this, I was like, hey, I can actually do this. I'm going to win, no problem. Dispersion, that's not an issue. You wait it out. He comes in, he goes at him, he heals him, whatever. So what happens is, and yes, I move my mouse a lot when I play, so yeah. But this warrior arms Not so much. Not so much. But you can see just his outright numbers are more than my bleeds and my outright free numbers. That doesn't make sense. A bleed should not be doing 20k. Bleed should not be doing 20k at 110 when it's your primary damage output. That should not be like that. You can't move a class. You can't start them off in the expansion primarily for bleeds with a subtle burst and then try to move them straight over into burst without doing anything to the bleeds. Because we didn't have a big burst to start with. We don't have big burst. All right, anybody who tells you differently, no. You can go watch other rank 1 Pharaoh Druids. That's fine. It doesn't affect the fact that we didn't have burst in the beginning of the expansion at all. You sat there, you waited for a moment of clarity, or used your Brutal Slash, but your primary damage output was bleeds. You bled people to death. It led for a slow leveling process. Now look at this Death Knight. Alright, I'm not the only one hitting him. Now I am. But as you can see, I'm tickling him. The other person did more damage than me. And I missed the flag there because, I was too slow to notice that. I was wrapped up in my own business. So 40k, that's not bad. And, I mean, he dies, that's not an issue. And then Death Grip, Frost, just insane. But the plus side of Guardian Infinity, by the way, is the fact that you can actually go into bear form, frenzy regeneration twice immediately just to get some health back to survive some burst. But no, I mean, look, I'm critting for 45k. One of my main attacks is critting for 45k. Proc, the Proc Godzilla over here is, will hit me, 10 times for the same ability in like an instant because of RNGesus. There's only so much you can do as a feral druid in terms of survivability too. You love it when you game hiccups in the middle of a fight. So getting off the ranting for a minute. This is actually a close game. This actually was a close game for most of it. As you can see, I'm playing very defensively right now, only because of the fact that I am getting hurt a lot. But, Death Knights they want a cat. They just want a kitty to just be right next to them all the time. I'm only staying alive because of a healer. But I've noticed, and this is what I've noticed about Frost DKs. From what I hear and what I've seen, Frost DKs don't do that well in raids. Do better now, from what I've seen, screenshots of recounts and that. But in terms of PvP, they'll just straight up take like 500k of my HP in the first opener, and I'm just going, where did that come from? It doesn't make sense. Like you just see all these numbers that do as much damage as my bleeds, multiplied by like 5 times. It does it like 5 times. Now, I'm trying to move over here to get, well, not to get this. This was just a bonus, but I was trying to come over here to help the flag carrier. Because we want to cap it one more time. Everyone wants to cap it twice, so you can just be like, okay, go out and farm or just end the game, But this mofo is so tanky, it is freaking hilarious to try and kill him. But yeah, I have a 50k crit there, 29k regular hit there. When your opponent has 2 million HP, a regular bleed tick should not be doing 26k. For all I know, it might increase with more gear. I don't know. But at the moment, and especially at 109 and 108, I was noticing, I was just like, I'm tickling these people. Like, there's not a lot of damage. It's very minuscule. So, and Demon Hunters, I hate you so much. You guys dodge too much crap. It's annoying. Everyone knows you dodge a lot. You're like the saviors of everything, but yeah. Now, usually how I'll play in the middle of a Battleground will be, especially as a DPS, even just in general, aside from healer. I rarely play healer anymore, but what I'll do is I will go ahead and focus healers as much as I can. Because if they're following, they're not every time a healer is going to follow the flag carrier. If you got teammates back you up and they're attacking the flag carrier, the more you can delay that healer and slow him down, better chance you have to help your team. I had another game where there was a part in a game where we were able to kill the flag carrier. I mean, we lost the game by 1 cap, but excuse me. But I actually ended up slowing him down a lot. It was actually really good. I don't know why I selected the healer guy right there. I was just like, what's up, man? So I come to his rescue because he was gonna die to that guy, and one more. Now, normally what I do spam Moonfire because let me just stop here and give some heals. So I normally do spam Moonfire because it's a 30 energy cost if I don't have any combo points or I need a cap 5, but I have full energy tank of 130. That takes me down to 70 energy just to go ahead and get 5 combo points. It does decent damage. It helps. The dot just keeps getting refreshed. There's nothing wrong with that. I have actually started using Thrash. It's a very weak bleed. Blizzard, do something about that. It's really bad and like you should not have a bleed at 110 that deals 40,000 damage over 10 seconds, and then put traits of it on a legendary weapon, and then try to make it a rotation spell. No, even AoE it doesn't work because it doesn't stack. The bleed doesn't stack. It's 40k over 12 seconds. It really isn't that pointless. The only reason I use it is like, oh, I need to find an enemy. Let me just put a bleed on them and I'll thrash. There we go. Or I have like warriors, rage dump, but obviously I have energy, so it's just energy dump. Instead of using a 40 shred, I'll use a 50 thrash once. That way I'm just like, okay, down to 90. Then I just reapply my dots if need be, which more than likely they do because of the talent that, oh, gotta get the flag, there we go. That way I can go ahead and get the bleed damage going back on. There's a lot of managing. It's not as bad as Survival Hunter, but when you pick up the 33% less damage, like time duration for your bleed talent, there's a lot of managing your dots because 10 seconds goes by so much faster. And if you got haste, it's gonna go by so much faster, and you're gonna constantly be reapplying dots. That's why sometimes I just, if I'm about to die, and I have energy, but I don't have enough for a good rip, I will just reapply Rake and Moonfire and just pray to God that it actually kills them if they're low on HP, or just in general, just to help. But in terms of the moment of clarity with Shred, the self heals, man, those self heals are so good. In terms of Shred being weak, it needs a bit of a damage buff. The 15% damage increase from Moment of Clarity isn't enough. The stack from Savage Roar and Tiger Fear, I have to set those up just to get a good damage out of it. You know, that's the only way I can do that. Other than that, it doesn't even hit for 100,000, and it costs an enormous amount of energy. I could only get 4 combo points from Shred. Maybe 5 because of global cooldown. Now, I've been doing this a lot simply because I can actually get away with it somehow. Just retreat, sit down, eat some mage food, get back out there, and let's go. So before I'm even 100%, you know, and then here I go again, I prioritize the healer. I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't always prioritize the healer, it's not good, da 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 da. But I love spreading my dots and bleeds around, so if I prioritize the healer and I put some bleeds on other people, while I'm focusing him, the other people are also taking down from a decent amount of damage, which they also require heals. So he has to make a choice. Do I heal myself consistently, or do I let my teammates die? It kind of is like one of those, yeah, you know, 50-50. It's up to the healer pretty much. He's like, does it matter? But he has reincarnation up. Oh, he'll be fine. He can go ahead and die and then come back and be good there, or he'll use Spirit Link Totem. But that's pretty much it. You know, it's just there's some issues with feral druids, and I wish Blizzard would pay attention. But there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be uploading some more